On this episode of the Inside Myanmar podcast, we're bringing you something special, a behind-the-scenes look at the 4th International Conference on Burma Myanmar Studies, held in August 2024 at Chiang Mai University's Regional Center for Social Science and Sustainable Development. This event tackled some of Myanmar's most critical challenges: ongoing conflicts, peace processes, human rights, and the impact of the 2021 coup. It was all about fostering research, dialogue, and advocacy for sustainable solutions. Now, here's where it gets interesting. We were given exclusive access to the conference and even an office on site, allowing us to record brief, on-the-spot interviews with attendees. These interviews are different from our usual long-form episodes, as we conducted 10-minute grabs that cover a broad range of topics. We were able to reach out to a total of 18 different guests, all of which we're bringing to you in this 4-part series. A quick note: since we were recording right at the heart of the conference, you might hear some background sounds from the event itself. Our sound engineers worked their magic to clean things up, but the audio quality may feel a bit different than our studio interviews. In any case, we hope that this just adds to the authenticity of the experience. And with that, let's get into the talks that follow. This episode is the first in the series.
This is Aung Zaw. I'm the founder and chief editor of the Irrawaddy publication. I think to make it short, it's not very fair to the long history of our work. But 1988, people came and I became a journalist, a reporter, and then our life in exile was not easy. A lot of challenges was in terms of securities and legal status. Then 2010, we went back. And slowly going back, we were the only one news group news publication that held back, having a one foot in and one foot out strategy, quite famous, sometimes infamous with the international donors, because everybody's rushing in. There's a gold rush, digging the gold mine inside the country, and we were very careful and cautious. And why? Because we couldn't trust the military. That we gradually went in, completely full-blown operation inside the country. Then we were back here after the coup in 2021. So this is second life exile for most of us. But me is different. But mine is I'm living here in Thailand, but we come and go all the time. But the point is, this is a life in exile for most of the reporters. Come back here to resettle again, forced to leave. Much more, I think, more challenges. But good thing is, because of our experience in the past here in Thailand, so we have built a system and infrastructures that help people to come and we can feel them, to continue to work, get information. Without any gap, no tiny gap, that even whatever difficulty we face in terms of security challenges, cybersecurity challenges, location challenges, funding challenges, and result challenges, whatever we had. I don't think there's not a one single day that we closed down because of due to these challenges, and then that there's no gap in feeding the stories to people inside and outside the country, even until today.
Yeah. So you mentioned some of these challenges that you faced post-coup, especially, and how your organization was set up to know how to deal with them and respond. How would you characterize some of the bigger challenges that you've had to face in the past few years, perhaps something that wasn't expected?
Well, there are quite a number of, to name it, one is the stuff we have invested in them, and when they came out, to have them resettled here or set up here is a big challenges for them. As I mentioned earlier, that security challenges, because at the time with the COVID time, and then this lockdown, and we had a coup in our country. So we have a coup in our country, and so that carried them to the safer place is very challenging. We've never done it. Plus, the families are leaving. Families had to leave. And in the past life, our first life in Israel, we did not have to think about the families. Because single people work and continue to work no matter what. Families are under threat, but they are not being thrown into prison because of connection. But now the families are in danger. Whoever involved a connection with us or with the other organization, the position, they are in serious danger. So that's the problem. So we have to take care of the extra people, and that's a nightmare. And also second, and it's a nightmare because of our infrastructure is here, but it's small to absorb such a number of people came to us. And the second is the cybersecurity things. I think because of the monitoring from the regime and the more sophisticated way, the way that they monitor, they can harm those reporters who remain inside the country, or those who were recently hired or continue to work or wanted to join such an exciting career, even though the pay is so modest, then they want to try and they want to continue to. It's not because of the career; it's because of the. They want to tell the stories. So to keep them safe, also another challenge. And so we have a lot of cybersecurity issues. I had to have a lot of trainings with the people inside and outside to let them understand, because this is the area that where the regime people and the psychological warfare department, intelligence, they are the one who can penetrate from there and get the information and flash out the people and get them arrested. So this is I think second issue. The third issue is I think that security issues. But thanks to Thailand, I mean, it's always been, in terms of humanitarian, Thailand has always been very soft and you can find a more human face in this country. If you are in exile in our situation in Germany or in London, you might have a different kinds of restrictions and imposed on you. But now it's because of the apparent flexibility, whatever you call it here, that you set it up here. At the same time, you have sometimes you have a legal issues to making sure that your staff are safe and secure. These are the things that we have. And the fourth one is much more daunting because of the regime used a connection to make a threat against me and a certain individual in the office, because we publish such stories and exposes, and they actually reach out to their connection, their network here in Thailand, and trying to harass me and trying to intimidate, or even some kind of theory of assassination, that kind of things. Yeah. So
that's very
2 years ago.
That's heavy. So this was a threat or an attempt?
I would say that it's an attempt.
Do you take precautions now as a result?
At the time, yes, I got a warning from a certain security officer, also embassies inside, telling me that I have to really be careful of my status, my security status there. I took the precaution.
How would you describe the role of independent, objective journalism during this time of extended conflict and turmoil in the country?
I think the journalism, first of all, the journalism in our department, in our country, it don't pay well, and you have a risk of going to prison or death today if you look at it. Yeah. So there's no incentive, we say that. So I think a lot of people who work in a team or other independent medias, I think a lot of committed people, professional ones, who are passionate about work and committed both politically and professionally, even though they are not political parties or members, and they really commit to this profession because of they want to, they feel that their messenger carrying the news should let the people around the globe or even in their own country to have access to such a quality, important information. I think that's a key point. I think of the can say for Irrawaddy that continue to work and survive in this environment, and also politically. I mean, this Irrawaddy is always committed to democracy and human rights and democracy and freedom and press freedom and federal union. So we are very much political. I'm not ashamed to admit that, and that's how the character of the Burmese independent media. We have an association not association to the political organizations or political parties or exile governments or opposition. No, we are not. We're very much independent in terms of making sure that we are detached from these organizations. Always been critical of them in the past 30 years as well. I got threat from these opposition members as well in the past. So we are very proud of that, and our contents, our products. But also, I think after 30 years of as a founder, having this running it, Irrawaddy, if we don't have a in this movement, in this time, as your question indicated, if there's no independent media, what would that be, right? So we have to think about it. So I think actually you're not going to become a millionaire for working for the news on independent exile media organization anyway. So I think it's really committed, very political, and thought leadership, remain a trusted source. And we all work hard on that. It's not easy to run independent media organizations, not only because of threats or intimidations or security issues, but also there are so many challenges we have. But also we're very proud of our work. It's really frustrating to continue sometime. Tough. It's really tough to keep working on it. But think of our audiences who are inside, who are outside, diaspora, and whatever the comments they are sending us, letters, really encouraging. It's sweet, and such a joyful, letters that they have written and they've been living in this, in darkness. We need information. They want analysis. They don't want to bullshit. They really want to hear the straightforward what's happening in their own country. So we never had we had such a feedback, but this time is tremendous. For the last 4 years, unstoppable that they come in to us, and the more support, and that's great. So we think of them often, and also to our partners and whoever make it, support to us, and it's important, because without them it's hard to survive. We're not New York Times or CNN or commercial publication. We are specialized on a particular subject, particular area. How to call it? With the cost, what the cost to promote the liberation of the country, I'm not ashamed to say that. Media is sometimes media should be neutral and objective. I think these are cliche. And the media is part of it in this movement, but still very independent, still very vital, very professional in the way that particularly for the Irrawaddy, the team members who are with us for more than 5 to 10 years, and are with me for 20 years. Even if they retire, nothing left, nothing, no benefit, nothing. So they keep working. So I think it's admirable.
My name is Maki Mamaji, and I'm well known as Dama. And I'm former interim director of international gender study at University of Oxford. I'm born and bred in Burma.
So you have just published a book. Congratulations! You have a book launch, and tell us about the name of the book and what it's about.
So the book is called "Invisible Yet Invincible Women Who Dare: Narratives of Unsung Heroes Who Fight Against Dictators." So that is a book on collection of women stories. We have interviewed under Tanaka Gender Decade, which is formally called the Oxford Tanaka International. So we work with women with gender, but more likely we have, our team is made up of professors from university, anthropologists who are CDMOs, and women MPs. So we have the team working for research, and we interview hundreds of them. That includes women MPs, PDF, women who are working for IDPs, and also captain who deserted army, and also medical professionals who are in the IDP camp at the moment and providing medical, food, and humanitarian assistance. We also included 3 university professors who actually joined the CDM and stay in CDM for 4 years already. So we select 10 of them in this book.
What are some takeaways from your research and writing that you would like to leave our listeners with?
So I am trained anthropologist, but gender focused, but I'm also documentary filmmaker. So one is also, we have exhibition here, and the exhibition focus on, we call WA, Women's Ancestry History, and we are also doing WO, Women Oral Histories. People assume that gender or feminism is introduced by the West. Western feminists enlightening Burmese women, but actually if you look further, you will see there were feminist movement, we did not have a feminist movement per se, but a kind of real suffragette movement and many movements. The reason is that a lot of people think that there are no feminist movement in Myanmar, or in Burma. So Burmese women are a little bit behind. Actually not, because if you compare to Burmese women in the 19th century, 18th century in the West, Burmese women have more right than their sister in the West. For example, in Victoria era, right, Burmese women have rights to earn the money, rights to own their property, right to marriage, right to divorce, right to inheritance, unlike women in the West. So, for example, right, we all know Victorian gender codes of how women are oppressed, how they have to surrender their body, but their properties to their husband in the West. In Myanmar, that's not the case. So, for example, right, Burmese marriage is civil. We don't need judge or lawyer. So, if you ask a woman in that era, did you marry with a lawyer or monk? At present, she will say, "What for? I'm not marrying judge or monk. I want to marry someone. That's my trade." So actually, they also, a trade in Myanmar, Burma was dominated by the Burmese women, right? So there is a traditional way of marriage. It's not so simple. As long as women stay with the man, that is a legal wife. So she can have half of the properties or wealth of him. If she divorced, then she can remarry. So this kind of thing, women already had it, and a lot of Western writers who visited in Myanmar and Burma in the 18th, 19th century wrote about these women, right? But of course not in a way that favorably, because that's the reason that men are becoming gay, right? That's why it's men need to learn, step up, be a man. So this kind of Victorian norms were taught to Burmese male nationalists. So they actually, Burmese males are better than, that's why I say at that time, when Burmese women married to Westerners or non-Burmese, and they lost all the rights because they never married with a judge, or they never married at the church or at the presence of an government official, right? So that Burmese women marriage, even though customarily she has legal rights, if she married to non-Burmese, she lost all of them. So actually these kind of things, so when you're looking at it as how colonization has exploited the Burmese women and pushed down the rights of Burmese women. So if you look at it, in Burma is the only one country in the world, Burmese women rights has been pushed down by colonialism, nationalism, militarism. So that's they are pushing down. So to the extent that now people think that Burmese women never had a movement, women right movement, right? And also there's a no suffragette movement because in history, even though there were women activists, political prisoners, CDMS in the past, and female soldiers, and also women in World War II. There were 19 Burmese women who fought World War II with General Stewart. Right? General Stewart was included by Burmese women, and and yet all of their history had been wiped out. So when you ask today, people will say that, well, there's a Burmese women had never involved in politics or leadership. So that is justification. Another one also, Burmese used cultural prescription. For example, Burmese believe that men and women are born differently. For example, men are born with hole on their right shoulder. What is a pole? So in other words, they believe that men are born with innate spiritual superiority over women. So that means that women are inferior at birth. So that means there was justification of men have more spiritual power, they are more logical, they are more intelligent, so they could be they have to be leader, not the women. So there's a justification is throughout even now in the revolution, the world had witnessed women dominated these protests, this Supreme Revolution, and women are now in 4 years time, women are 60% in the revolution, and yet looking at NUG, opposition government, they have a 70-80% male dominated. So women are still fighting for like a kind of even 30% quota, minimum standard of quota. So actually, and also at the moment, like, you know, masculinization, militarization of masculinities, toxic masculinity, you call it, and at the frontier, rape case increase. And because of is even men involved in this revolution doesn't mean that they even if they are fighting for change, they also have a like kind of cultural love that they carry, so they continue. So and also here is also one thing that men are also product of this system, right? So actually the you know, when we are looking to address gender-based violence, sexual violence in Myanmar, so of course this is like, you know, any military society, sexual violence is increased. In Myanmar is because of the Pong and all the other stuff, history of colonization, nationalism, militarization, structural violence of gender, you know, like, you know, embedded by this process and need to be addressed and understood, because women's rights or leadership will not come if we don't address root causes of structural issues that already make people justify, you know, like in their cultural system. So at Vogue is about, we are 3 days after the coup, I set up from Oxford, the Oxford Tanaka Gender Decathlon. So that's like in a space that I want to focus on highlight, not like just about a women right, women leadership. I want to move more deeper layer or structural issues. So that has been in our team. We have a women MPs team member, and also we have a anthropologist professor, CDM professor who have been work as a professor at the university in Myanmar for 22 years to 33 years. They all work in our group as a researchers, senior researchers and young people. So we are doing intergenerational, intersectional dialogic education. So addressing that, like, creative thinking. So for example, we have a debate, a book club. You know, like we have a book club. We discuss about these things, and we also have a debate and trying to create dialogic, creative education that is a kind of, and to co-produce knowledge and disseminate and replicate new knowledge, so that like this concept of justice, equality, democracy, and you don't just fight for and demand from where you have to also practice it. While you are fighting against dictators, you need to practice this kind of thing. Like you need to start to trying to analyze your own unconscious bias, but also that included, women activists should not exclude men. We should include men as well. So there's a together that create just equal society. But at the moment, as the book is today, we have launched of this book. We get quite a good feedback, and we will have another book coming out, and I'm working on Scholars of Spring Revolution, Gender Education and Applying Anthropology since after the coup. So these are the women, but also third book will come out is Women and Peace, Iron Ladies. So that is and also semicolon, women's native and others. So yeah, we are doing like something that trying to build soft power, but also bring it in the past history, what happened, and that included religious misogyny or patriarchy, right? How much religious preaching or production are accurate, right? Where does misogynist or patriarchy accents in that? Who say what, why? Right, where the evidence, right? So this kind of thing, because it is certainly, as you see, Burma is Buddhist country. The violence is extreme, right? So there's violence extreme. So we cannot just practice and listen and follow the preaching. We need to actually analyze, the true, authentic, genuine Buddhism, and also practice applying Buddhism. So that there's a sustainability of equality will exist.
I'm Katie Julian from Motu Education. We have been working on Myanmar higher education issues for the last 13 years, and I'm delighted to be able to participate in this conference. Our organization was founded in 2013 by a range of educators with years of experience working on higher education in Myanmar, particularly in the non-formal, or should I say non-state higher education sector, in recognition of the fact that high schools and universities have not been accessible to everybody from Myanmar and have not perhaps served the needs of the community development sector. We decided to focus on the independent or ethnic-run post-secondary education sector, and what we do is develop textbooks, curriculum and training programs for those people.
Can you describe how your work changed through the years? Because you've been in Myanmar for some time. We knew each other, as we just referenced this conversation, way back when, 15 years ago, long before the transition. So you've been there before the transition, during the transition, now post-coup. You're working particularly with ethnic communities that have had their own trajectory and history. So through an educational lens, what changes have you seen through these years?
Well, probably the most significant change was the wider availability of internet, which was a massive game changer for a lot of people. In Myanmar, prior to about 2009, 2010, nobody could afford mobile phones, and internet was slow dial-up. Now it's much more widely accessible, and for educators this has proven invaluable, and it's so frustrating how internet outages are causing problems because so we have, although we produce paper textbooks, we also now have got an online platform, remotu.org, if anyone's looking, and we're able to supplement our books and learning resources with all kinds of links to the internet, and that just gives people much wider exposure to the sorts of ideas they're interested in, and encourages much more self-directed study, which is what the partners we are working with are largely aiming for.
Can you share, following the coup, the nature of the particular challenges you've had to deal with in your line of work, and how you've had to transform your platform to meet those challenges?
Well, the main thing we had to do was be a little bit more subtle with some of the more controversial materials that we had been producing that perhaps might attract negative attention. So we still have those available, however we just don't promote and publicize them. That would include things like gender, which for some reason the people currently occupying the country don't really want anyone to know about. We've had to, basically from COVID onwards, we've had to put a lot more of our activities online, I love going and meeting our partner schools and spending time with them when we do trainings and meetings, and doing it on Zoom is just not as satisfying and not as informative. The post-secondary sector has expanded. Now there are very few adequate opportunities for formal education. So everybody has just had to has just come up with alternatives from most of the ethnic colleges that we're working with have had an influx of people from outside their traditional constituencies. There are a ton more community-based initiatives set up in IDP camps on the border areas, and then just little community schools. A teacher, maybe a CDM teacher, who just says, well, I'm going to keep on teaching my thing, and sets up a school for people around them or online. And we will work with anybody who is not affiliated with anything bad.
I recall from our time many years ago, one of the things that really impressed me about the projects you were involved in is the ways that you were trying to make the educational curriculum relative. And in Myanmar especially, this is such a powerful thing because it's the nature of that time, especially as it was closed off, that to be able to learn through a curriculum, learn a language and a subject through a manner that was very relevant to your life and context, this was very powerful. And as you've gone on to work on curriculum design and such, and working with ethnics, I'm sure that one of the challenges you had to work with was not just international materials that weren't relevant, but this issue of Burmanization. And so can you talk about the nature of how Burmanization plays out in public school curriculum / propaganda, and for those listeners who might not be familiar with it, and what you tried to do with your curriculum to present education in a different way?
It's an interesting challenge to make context-appropriate curriculum for contexts that are themselves very diverse. So if we write, for example, our histories module, we want it to be broad enough to incorporate a wide range of perspectives, so that anyone who is teaching it can get what they want out of it. So we try to have more of a skills focus than a knowledge focus. So, for example, the history one, it's a lot of analysing source documents, and if you can analyse a source document, you can choose your own sources that you want to research. For example, a school from Shan State has taken our histories module, which is called Histories of Burma, and transformed it into Histories of Burma and Shan State, using the same sort of methodology used in our material to apply it to a range of issues and sources within Shan State, which is what they want to focus on. That's great. We love hearing about people doing things like that with our materials. Most of the stuff we write is sort of adult basic, so an introduction to federalism, an introduction to research skills. We're not trying to replace higher level university courses. We're just what we would like to do is ensure that people who want to go on to study these in more detail will have a basic working knowledge of the key principles and how to apply them to their own situations and communities.
Great. So looking at the field of education in general in Burma, historically leading to today, you talked about the challenges that are obviously there, but the incredible, often very informal ways that sometimes just single individuals are going to fill those gaps and needs. So how would you, now 3 years plus since the coup has happened and a lot of formal structures being in various states of collapse or inadequacy, how would you characterize some of these informal initiatives that are coming and perhaps becoming less informal as time goes on and starting to become structures in their own right?
Big question. I mean, one could talk about sort of bravery and resilience in such terms that characterize how the people of Burma have responded to the coup. Basically, everybody I know does what they can. The sector is very under-resourced, as are most other. There needs to be more money. People are doing what they can with what they've got, but often they're constrained by not being able to pay teachers, for example, big problem. Or not being able to replace their school buildings. So you see a wide range of innovative workarounds. So, well, for example, teachers will look for other ways to make money while they can still keep on serving their students. School buildings, all kinds of things will serve as a school building. There's limitless stories of extremely interesting responses to terrible situations.
Yeah. What have you learned about the way that education is taking shape in IDP and refugee camps?
Again, it's basically a matter of, here's what we need to do, here's what we want to achieve, what's the gap, how can we best work to fill that gap. For example, if you have students who would like to go on to study at an international university, the schools will perhaps develop partnerships with Thai or international universities to try to make that happen. That requires resources. If you don't have any teaching resources, you can contact various, not just Motu, there are also other groups in Myanmar putting out contextually appropriate resources. The post-secondary website has a list of locally developed resources if anybody wants to look that up at www.psefmyanmar.com. People are putting their programs online, people are sharing resources, there's a lot of networks springing up. I would love to see more of that. I would love to see more opportunities for different schools to collaborate and share more resources. One particularly impressive project is Mon National College that has managed to form links with a number of universities and align their curriculums so that their graduates can access Thai universities without having to bother with the GED I am hoping that their success might be able to be replicated for Karenni and Karen and other groups who also want a pathway for their students to get to university. But I really need to make the point that international universities, although extremely popular and sought after, is not the only option. It's not the only thing that the post-secondary sector focuses on, because you need community actors, you need teachers, you need medics, you need advocates, you need environmentalists, and university is not the only way to become one of those.
Now, you've been involved in the education field in Myanmar for so many years and decades, so I just would like to ask a personal question of what has drawn you so much to your passion and dedication and perseverance on a personal level to have this be the thing that you've spent so many years of your life dedicated to?
Well, it's basically an incredibly fulfilling job. I wake up every morning and go, woohoo, get to go to work now. I get to work with wonderful people. It's very intellectually stimulating. You get a lot of feedback that what you're doing is valuable. But yeah, it's about the people. Limitless numbers of really impressive people I meet from all kinds of different backgrounds all the time. Persist. We will eventually overcome the difficulties.
Okay, my name is Amy, and I finished graduate with law, and I'm working with NGOs, which is based on the gender-based violence and child abuse cases for 3 years. And I'm working with some research paper with my group. and I'm trying to move in the Thailand because I think there has a many opportunity to get academic ways at such as universities or some NGO works. So they are connecting from the people at the Myanmar between inside Myanmar and also at the Thailand. So I can work with for the human rights survivors or human rights defender together. So I hope I can find a job in the Thailand. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so my name is Sitthu. So I was a law student before military coup. And so after the coup, I joined in the Civil Disobedience Movement, and I study human rights and comparative politics at a lot of interim institutions like Spring University Myanmar and Irrawaddy and so on. So and then my interests have drawn into the social science research, especially in human rights, and I started doing learning research at various organizing NGOs, and then I started doing research on my own with my group. With my group, I formed a group with people like-minded like me who are interested in research, and so we have done 2 papers already, and I'm looking forward to do more research on especially topics, human rights issues topics, because I think in order to solve our current situation in Myanmar, I think we need a little bit of more like applying research or actual data on the ground and present to the starting from the ASEAN regional and then to the global war, because when I joined human rights advocacy training last month, because there are like representatives from our CSO and ASEANs, but they don't know what's actually happening in Myanmar. So I think it's important to show the world what is really happening on the ground, and because maybe then they can suggest or provide some solutions for us. Yes.
Great. So both of you have gotten into law, different parts of the law. I'd be curious if you can share why, from an early age, why law was something that attracted you and why that was something you wanted to go in.
So I learned about the human rights about when I was a third-year student, university student. So my mentors and I working with human rights works and trainings. I also attend and I give the human rights trainings to the local communities. So for several years, and I stopped when happened the coup. But I think I finished the law, so I can get my lawyer license. But I have to enter to the some procurement at the government office. So I tried the CDM movement, so I quit to get my law license. But I think after the coup, I faced some legal issues about our friends. They needed some legal aid or some. I tried the gender-based violence cases back my experience. So they need some help, but I can't help because I don't have any license for the legal procedure. So I try to get back my lawyer license in this time. And one of my friends, he asked me to. I try to get the license because you can help people with that license, and I proceed my procedures with the government for now, but I heard in the Myanmar local people they don't understand what is going on, and especially on the human rights issues. They just assume that armed group just fighting each other, or military, just they don't understand what is going on. So I give some knowledge sharing section with the universities, trainings, So I think I have to do these works more back time. So I tried the trainings. I'm trying to reach out the universities as a students. So because students can work more than me so effectively in the local community, so they can trust us, they can trust me, who I am, what I'm doing. So I'm trying to reach out the universities and the NGO communities in the Thailand or also Myanmar. I have some friends, they are working for the human rights survivors, so I'm trying to reach the human rights sector again. Yes.
So for me, I think it's because of everything the military has been doing since for over 60 years, I think, because they use the law as a tool to oppress civilians and of course to take advantage for their interests. So I think it is an important for us to understand the law and find a solution with every ethnic groups, because the current laws like 1947 Constitution, 74 and 2008 Constitution were made by them, the military. So it did not contain ethnic concerns or ethnic interests, and it did not protect human rights at all. So I think it is important to learn human rights, because my interest is to human rights, because human rights is like a moral, I think it's like a moral principles or moral values, but we also need law to implement, to enforce that human rights values and protect to those like minorities in Myanmar. So yes, so this is what's wrong.
Following the coup, how dangerous was it to be a lawyer in Myanmar?
Lawyers? I think I have a senior lawyers friends. So they at first time of the coup, they did not reject the legal aids at the coup, the trial process, but after the coup, 1 year after the coup, they reject the legal aid at the trial process. So a lawyer cannot provide any legal protection for the clients, for the human rights. I heard and I faced some experience, but they cannot meet very public in public with the clients. They have to meet very privately, and they cannot ask their rights at the government office. So especially police, they do not respect any human rights for the lawyer and also for the clients. So they cannot give sufficient aid to the clients. So lawyer have face some dangers because they threat some kinds of words or some kinds of actions. You don't need to. You don't have to go with the client to the custody or something. So we cannot provide any supporting, for example, medical aids or something to the clients. We cannot provide them, and also Myanmar lawyers also face some. You don't as the lawyer you don't need to talk the clients to the custody or something. So it is very it happens many prohibitions to contact with the clients, and also they gets any some threat not to do the work. You are avoiding some law or something. They enacted, so they face like that kinds of issues,
right,
as a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yes.
To ask another question for you, one of the things I think that's surprising to outside observers about the Myanmar military regime is that they seem to have a facade of wanting to show that they are following law and order. They're not just saying that they're doing whatever they want, they disregard it. They do this whole charade of trying to pretend that everything they're doing has some kind of legal precedent and trying to manipulate different situations to show that they're actually acting in the right way, even though most all Burmese in the international community sees the absolute facade and charade that it is. Why do you think, as someone who has studied law, why does the military play these games that everyone just sees through?
I think they want to maintain their legitimacy to, I think, two categories. The ones from within Myanmar who support them, and of course to the international community. Because in Myanmar, is very there are not only people who support democracy. Of course, they have their supporters, so they have to maintain that group. And they have to show their supporters that they are following the law, they are doing with the law, in accordance with the law. So I think it is all about controlling to their positions and their legitimacy to their supporters, and of course international community. But we all know that on the ground they do whatever they want to do. But one thing is that they are very clever in, getting rid of evidence, of course. Like for example, we have 2017 Rohingya cases, and because when they do that kind of massacre, they order their soldiers to get rid of every recordings and every evidence. So I think it's all about. They want to stay in their position.
Just one thing, please look really happening in the Myanmar underground, not on the media, and please contact with the ICBMS worker, human rights support worker or something, and please just watch and keep watching for the situations in Myanmar. Yes.
Yeah, so for me, I'm very open to work with everyone who really want to know what's happening in Myanmar. I hope I can help because I have some connections on the ground, and most of them want to really want to share what's happening around them. They have so many cases and issues are happening, and they want to share, but they don't know how. So so maybe I hope I can help you with that. And also, of course, please keep supporting our democratic movements with people who are working on the ground. And please keep supporting us. Thank you.
Many of you are quite familiar with our nonprofit, Better Burma, which was formed in the weeks following the military coup and carries out humanitarian missions around the country. But did you know that we also have a shop that carries handicrafts sourced from artisan communities throughout Myanmar? We take great pride in all of our products being 100% Myanmar made, from the materials to the design to the workmanship. From the Thanaka artfully incorporated on the dolls' faces to the cats and frogs wearing scarves made of traditional Lungji fabric, they all clearly show they were made in the Golden Land. So your gift will bring a little bit of authentic Myanmar into the home of its recipient, and even if just a little, will help keep the people and culture alive in our hearts. And most importantly, your purchase will not only support the livelihood of the artisans, but also help fund our wider humanitarian and media missions. Please take a moment to visit our shop at alokacrafts.com. That's Aloka, A-L-O-K-A, crafts, C-R-A-F-T-S, one word, .com. Of course, as is your preference, you can also consider making a donation through our normal channels. If you would like to join in our mission to support those in Myanmar who are being impacted by the military coup, we welcome your contribution in any form, currency, or transfer method. Your donation will go on to support a wide range of humanitarian and media missions, aiding those local communities who need it most. Donations are directed to such causes as the Civil Disobedience Movement, CDM, families of deceased victims, internally displaced person IDP camps, food for impoverished communities, military defection campaigns, undercover journalists, refugee camps, monasteries and nunneries, education initiatives, the purchasing of protective equipment and medical supplies, COVID relief, and more. We also make sure that our donation fund supports a diverse range of religious and ethnic groups across the country. We invite you to visit our website to learn more about past projects, as well as upcoming needs. You can give a general donation or earmark your contribution to a specific activity or project you would like to support, perhaps even something you heard about in this very episode. All of this humanitarian work is carried out by our nonprofit mission, Better Burma. Any donation you give on our Insight Myanmar website is directed towards this fund. Alternatively, you can also visit the Better Burma website, betterburma.org, and donate directly there. In either case, your donation goes to the same cause, and both websites accept credit card. You can also give via PayPal by going to paypal.me/betterburma. Additionally, we can take donations through Patreon, Venmo, GoFundMe, and Cash App. Simply search Better Burma on each platform and you'll find our account. You can also visit either website for specific links to these respective accounts or email us at info@betterburma.org. That's Better Burma, one word, spelled BETTERBURMA.org. If you would like to give it another way, please contact us. Thank you so much for your kind consideration and support.